Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Judge Farrey. I will be presiding over your first appearance hearing today. I'm going to make several announcements that's going to apply to all of you and most of you. So listen up very carefully as I make these announcements. As I mentioned, this is your first appearance hearing today before the Clayton County Magistrate Court. We are not here to try your case, nor are we here to take a plea in your case. You are here in order for me to inform you of the charges that have been brought against you, to advise you of certain rights that you have, to set bond on those offenses for which this court is authorized to set bond on, to schedule a preliminary hearing, and to determine whether or not you will need the assistance of an attorney that will be court appointed. You have the right to remain silent and say nothing here today. We are streaming live on YouTube, so that way the court has public access to that way the public has access to the court. So keep in mind that anything you say here today can be used against you in this recorded proceeding. During this and all other proceedings in your case, you do have the following rights. You have the right to the presumption of innocence until the state proves your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to indictment by the grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury. You have the right to see, hear, and cross-examine witnesses who are called to testify against you. You have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses in your own behalf by subpoena. You have the right to testify and offer other evidence in your own defense, should you choose to do so. However, should you choose not to do so, there will be no presumption of your guilt that can be raised against you. You'll also have the right to have an attorney represent you. When each of you come before me, I will ask you whether or not you want to be considered for a court-appointed attorney, whether you intend to represent yourself, or whether you intend to hire your own attorney. So make sure you're prepared to give me a response in regards to your legal representation. Now I'm going to talk to you about the different bonds that may be available. So listen carefully because this will apply to you all. You'll have the option of bonding using 3 different methods. Some of you will be allowed to post the unrestricted bond to be released from jail pending the prosecution of your case. The first option is called a cash bond. If you decide to do a cash bond, you will pay the full amount of your bond in cash to the sheriff's office, plus any mandated fees that the sheriff's office requires. The sheriff will then hold the cash, and after the final disposition of your case, the cash bond will be returned to the person who posted it. That's the first option. The second option many of you will probably utilize is called a commercial bond. If you decide that you're not able to pay using a cash bond in full, then you may post a bond using a commercial bonding company that is approved by the sheriff's office. These are private companies who charge different fees to post the bond for you. Bonding companies usually charge up to 15% of the total amount of your bond as their fee for their services. And once you pay this fee to the bonding company, you do not get this money back. So for example, if I tell you your bond is $2,000 and you want to go through a commercial bonding company, they may charge you 10%, which is $200, or they may charge you a little more than that. So if you go that route and you pay that fee to the bonding company, you will not get that fee back. The third option is called a property bond. If you decide to post a property bond, you will need to find someone who has property that has equity in their property for at least 3 times the total amount of the bond. So if I tell you your bond is $2,000 and you want to use a property bond, then the property that you intend to use, that person needs to have at least 3 times that amount. So they would need at least $6,000 worth of equity in their property in order to post the bond for you. Those are the 3 options. Now, some of you will have special conditions on your bond. that prohibit you from contacting certain people or going to or around certain places. This special condition will be provided to you on your order for bond. If I tell you that you are to have no contact with an individual, this means that you have to stay away absolutely, directly, or indirectly by mail, email, pager, telephone, or third person from the person, home, workplace, and immediate family members of any witness, including the person that I tell you to stay away from. If I tell you to stay away from a particular location, that means you are not to go on the premises of that location. Should you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked and you would not be entitled to another bond while you wait for trial. And additionally, there may be an additional charge of aggravated stalking, influencing a witness, or any other charge that the law may provide. And you could be fined up to $20,000 as well as sentenced up to 10 years in prison. For family members who will assist you in posting your bond, they will be provided the information of your bond amount after we have concluded the first appearance hearing calendar today. If a family member is a victim listed on the warrant, and if there is a special condition that you are to have no contact with that family member will not be able to post the bond for you. Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set a bond for you. In this event, a bond hearing will be scheduled before a superior court judge, and you will be informed of that date once you come before me. If you are currently on active probation, this court is not authorized to set a bond. We will give your probation officer an opportunity to decide if he or she will file a warrant to revoke your probation. And this is typically done during your preliminary hearing. So let's talk about your preliminary hearing. Your preliminary hearing is a court date where you will have a hearing to determine whether or not there is enough evidence or probable cause to justify keeping you detained on your charges. For those of you that are charged with misdemeanors only, you may have the option of waiving your preliminary hearing. And waiving your preliminary hearing does not affect your ability to post bond here today. And it also will not affect your right to have an attorney appointed by the court to represent you if you qualify for one. And it also does not affect your right to a jury trial. If you bond out, then your preliminary hearing date is automatically waived. For those of you that are charged with felonies, you will also be given a preliminary hearing date as well. If you are charged with both a misdemeanor or felony, your preliminary hearing date will be May 24th. If you're charged with just a misdemeanor only, your preliminary hearing date will be May 25th. If you are charged with just a felony, your preliminary hearing date will be May 24th. If you are not given a bond here today, I will schedule a bond hearing date for you as well. And that bond hearing date is going to be May 28th. And I'll repeat those dates when each of you come before me. If you all can go ahead and raise your right hands. Do you swear and affirm that the statements that you'll give before this court and the statements contained within your application for a court-appointed attorney is true and correct? If so, say I do and lower your hands. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to have each of you come up one by one. Keep in mind, even though this is a video conference being conducted by Zoom, this is a formal court proceeding, so please conduct yourselves accordingly. All right, we'll go ahead and start with the first female, please.
Ms. Bradley.
Good morning, state your name, please.
Good morning, my name is Leah Bradley.
Okay, Ms. Brad, you have been charged with one count of battery Your bond is set at $5,000. Do you understand the charge and the bond amount?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you do have a special condition to your bond, and that is to have no contact and stay away from Shakia Nicholson. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
I have your court-appointed application here before me, where you are requesting the assistance of a court-appointed attorney. I am approving that. So I have appointed an attorney to represent you. I am scheduling your preliminary hearing date for May 25th, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. Do you believe you'll be able to make bond?
Yes.
Okay. All right, do you have any questions for me, Ms. Bradley?
The property that I reside in, both me and Ms. Nicholson live there, and I was told that I can't just make her leave. So with us needing to be apart from each other, I'm wondering how that's going to operate.
I do see that Ms. Nicholson is also on my calendar. Let me ask you this. Is it a property you all are renting, or what are you all doing with that property?
I own the home. My brother and I own the home.
Okay. So I don't have a condition on your bond to stay away, but based on what Ms. Nicholson is charged with, I do have a condition on her bond to not return to those premises. So you'll be allowed to return back to the premises, but you cannot have any contact with Ms. Nicholson.
I understand.
All right. But I am going to have a provision for Ms. Nicholson to be able to return to the property with law enforcement to retrieve her things once she bonds out. So she will be able to do that. However, the only condition I have for you is to stay away and not have any contact with her. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any other questions for me?
No, I don't believe I do.
Okay. Well, you may be excused. Have a good day.
Thank you. Go where?
Next is Ms. Harris.
Okay. Good morning. Are you Jakiria Harris?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Ma'am, you have been charged with one count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I am denying bond at this time. Do you understand what you've been charged with?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What I can do is I can read to you the allegations on the arrest warrant. Would you like for me to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it states that the defendant, Jakiria Harris, did at 495 White Cedar in Riverdale commit the offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And that said defendant did make an assault upon the person of victim Kenneth Reedon with an object handgun, which when used offensively against another person is likely to result in serious bodily injury. The accused did brandish a firearm as a result of an argument. The accused did try to shoot the victim with said handgun. The victim wrestled with the accused in order to stop the assault. However, the accused was able to get off 2 shots. The victim was not hit during the incident. The victim and the accused do share a child together. And so that was the basis of the warrant that was taken out against you. Would you like to be considered for a court-appointed attorney?
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, could I just say something?
You can speak, but keep in mind what I mentioned earlier, that anything you say can be used against you, and we are streaming live on YouTube.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
with that in mind, what did you want to say, Ms. Harris?
The victim on the paperwork name is wrong. That is my son's father. The victim was Sherelle Williams, and also there were no weapons involved, no physical altercation, only a verbal altercation. My son's father was still contacting me after he left, but there were no weapons involved. No one touched anyone. No one tased or shot anything. No one shot anyone. No one did anything like that. He didn't even let me know that this was going on after we left. Sherelle Williams was the one that called the police, and I've been having problems with her for 2 years. And I've been trying to get a case up on her because she has broken into my home and everything. And when I pulled up with my son to let him see his father for his birthday, she was with him. We did have a verbal altercation. I did get out the car. I did want to fight her, but that didn't happen. None of that happened. So the victim name used is incorrect, and there were no deadly weapons involved.
Okay, you said, who is Kenneth Redon?
That is my son's father, and me and him don't have any type of problems at all.
Okay, I'm going to also let you know further what this warrant says, just so you are aware. It just says, as far as what happened on April 2nd, 2021, at approximately 13:20 hours, police responded to the incident location, 495 White Cedar Court, Riverdale, Georgia, in Clayton County, in reference to a domestic disturbance. The accused attempted to block Kenneth Redon in his driveway by blocking his path with her vehicle, blocking his vehicle. Kenneth Redon drove through the lawn in order to escape the accused. However, the accused was able to corner Kenneth Redon in a nearby cul-de-sac. The accused brandished a firearm when she approached Kenneth's vehicle. The accused approached the driver's side window. Kenneth tried to take the firearm from the accused. During the struggle, 2 shots were fired. However, no one was hit. The accused then fled from the location prior to police arrival. And it does list a witness here, which was Sherelle Williams.
No, ma'am. Sherelle Williams was the one that called, and no weapon was involved. I think she didn't want to use her name because there is information on her that I had from 2 years ago to this day. But none of that happened with no weapon, and he was not the victim. That's the only thing that I have to say. He wasn't the victim, and no weapons were used. If anything, I was the aggressor towards her verbally, but no one touched anyone, and he would not let the windows down. So, and no shots were fired. I don't have a gun. I don't own a gun. I didn't have a gun with me. I had my son with me, and the birthday gift that we had to give his father. That was it.
Okay.
I do have messages of her stating that she is going to make sure she take me away from my son because they have kids, and I guess me and him ended up having a child while they were still together, and I've been being harassed for her for 2 years, and I do have documentation from another police officer as well. But
Ms. Harris,
yes,
do you remember my announcement that I just made about 5 minutes ago?
yes, ma'am.
Not the time for you to try your case. And I understand what you're saying, but those are statements that you need to give to your attorney. I reviewed your application for a court-appointed attorney, and I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you. And this court-appointed attorney is going to reach out and be in contact with you, so that way you can discuss your defense with your lawyer. And if whatever you're saying pans out to be true, then your attorney may be able to get a bond for you prior to the bond hearing date. But I am scheduling your bond hearing date for May 28th, 2021. And I'm also scheduling your preliminary hearing date for May 24th, 2021. So if you are still incarcerated during that time, you will be brought before the court on both those dates. And then that issue of bond can be readdressed at that time, or like I mentioned, your attorney can possibly work something out with the state and possibly get you a bond before then. But based on the warrant details that's before me, I am not inclined to grant a bond at this time. I have appointed an attorney to represent you, ma'am. Did you have any questions for me?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, you may be excused. Have a good day.
Next is Ms. Nicholson. You can go back.
Nicholson, give me just one moment. Let me grab your paperwork. Stand by for me one moment, Ms. Nicholson. I'll be right with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for your patience, Ms. Nicholson.
Yes, ma'am.
You have been charged with one count of aggravated assault. Your charge is different from your roommate's charge. So based on that charge, your bond is set at $15,000. Do you understand the charge and the bond amount, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I do have a special condition set here for you, and that is to stay away and have no contact with Miss Aaliyah Bradley. And you are not to return to the property located at 2575 Old Tony Road in Ellenwood, Georgia. Do you understand those provisions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you will be able to go back to the property to retrieve any personal items and belongings that you have. You must be accompanied by a sheriff to retrieve those belongings, and you have to do it within 10 days of being released. If there's any property that's in dispute, you're just gonna have to leave it. You have to only get undisputed personal property. Do you understand that provision?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe you'll be able to make bond, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm scheduling the preliminary hearing date for May 24th, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. But if you do make bond like you think you'll be able to, then that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new notice in the mail.
Yes,
Make
ma'am.
sure you update your address with the court, however, since you will not be at that 2575 location. So you'll have to make sure we have your updated address so you won't miss any court notices. I also reviewed your application for a court-appointed attorney. Would you like to proceed with that process? Okay, so I am appointing an attorney to represent you because you do qualify, and your attorney will be in contact. Do you have any questions for me, Ms. Nicholson?
Ma'am, we've been in a relationship for 7 years, and we actually have vehicles that are wrapped up in between the two of us. That's something that I've been trying to separate for months. I've been trying to separate credit cards and everything else, and it's all been an issue with her. It's all been a battle. So how should I go forward with trying to separate the vehicle part of it and only having that 10-day window to get all property situated? I also have pets that she tried to throw out of the house. So it's a lot that I'm just unaware of what's happening to right now.
Are you all legally married?
No, ma'am. We were engaged and there was infidelity on her part. So that's kind of where everything started.
Okay, so it sounds like what you have going on is probably going to be a civil matter. It certainly isn't something that's going to be before this court. So I would advise that you talk to your attorney to see what can be worked out. You can't have any contact, you all can't have any contact with each other. So to the best of your ability, you're going to have to sort through whatever bills, loans, and expenses you need to do. You'll probably have to contact, the loan providers or, those third parties. But my advice would be to talk to your lawyer, and your lawyer will be able to give you some good advice on how to handle that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other questions, Ms. Nicholson?
No, I think that'll be it, ma'am.
Okay, you're excused. Have a good day.
You as well. Thank you.
Next is Ms. Strong.
Good morning. Are you Kiara Strong?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Okay. You have been charged with one count of deposit account fraud, and I've set your bond at $3,000. Do you understand your charge and your bond amount?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe you'll be able to make bond?
Yes, ma'am.
I've scheduled your preliminary hearing date to take place on May 25th, 2021. But if you do bond out, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new notice in the mail. Are you requesting to be considered for a court-appointed attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've reviewed your application and you do qualify. So I am appointing an attorney to represent you and he or she will be in touch. Do you have any questions for me, Ms. Strong?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the last female is going to be on your list is showing D White, but her last name is just White.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got it. Thank you. Good morning, Ms. White.
Good morning.
You have been charged with 1 count of open container. Your bond is preset at $500. Do you understand the charge and your bond amount?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe you'll be able to make bond?
I think so.
So I am scheduling your preliminary hearing date to take place on May 25th, 2021, but that date will be waived in the event you do bond out. Did you complete an application for a court-appointed attorney?
No, I have not.
Did you fill the form out today and cross the name out and write original? You filled the
Oh,
form out?
yeah, I did that.
You did? Okay, let me find your application.
Her form, she marked through the wrong spelling of her name and she wrote the right spelling of her name up top.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
It's all right.
So spell your first name for me.
DWICA.
DWICA. Okay. I see. Last name is White. All right. So I have reviewed your application and you do qualify for a court-appointed attorney. So I am appointing one to represent you. Do you have any questions for me, Ms. White?
No, I do not.
Okay. You may be excused. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, Your Honor, that completes the females.
Okay. Thank you, Deputy. Have a good one.
Yes, ma'am, you as well.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, in reference to, I don't know if you have the updated list, but Anderson, he's gonna be OTB. Inmate Ferguson, he's gonna be OTB.
Okay.
Hicks is gonna be OTB. Hunter is gonna be OTB. Rivera is gonna be OTB, as well as, what is that? Hosley is gonna be OTB.
Hosing is OTB.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what about Williams? Williams is OTB, right?
He is OTB as well, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it looks like the first mail I have is Andre Bryan. Good morning, are you Mr. Bryan? Are you Mr. Bryan? Okay, good morning. You have been charged with 3 offenses, 1 count theft by receiving stolen property. I've set that bond at $5,000. And then also defective equipment of the vehicle and no tail light. The bond is $500 on each of those. So your total bond is $6,000. Do you understand the charges and the bond amount?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you believe you'll be able to make bond? I am scheduling your preliminary hearing date to take place on May 24th, 2021. It looks like you are requesting a court-appointed attorney. I see your application here and you mentioned that you are employed, but you did not list a salary or income for me to consider. How much do you make each month?
I'm not sure, ma'am, because I just started out. I'm on self-employed, so it really varies. It's not a set amount that I make.
You're self-employed, you mentioned?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do?
I have a logistics system. I do a trucking.
Have you earned any monies since you've been self-employed?
Yes, I've only been working for the last 2 weeks.
How much did you earn over the past 2 weeks?
In the last 2 weeks, I've earned almost $3,000.
Okay, and what about prior to then?
Prior to then, I wasn't working anymore.
Okay, how long were you unemployed prior to you being self-employed?
About 2 years.
Okay, do you have any child support obligations?
Yes, ma'am.
You said yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and I see here that you also pay a monthly rent or mortgage. Is that right? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and approve you for a court-appointed attorney, sir. So I have appointed an attorney to represent you. He or she will be in contact with you. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay, you may be excused, sir. Have a good day. Okay, looks like the next person on my list is Joyner Burgess. Good morning, sir. Are you Joyner Burgess?
Good morning.
Okay, so you have been charged with 2 driving offenses, no tag and no license. Your bond is preset. The total is $1,500. Do you understand the charges in your bond amount, sir? Do you believe you'll be able to make bond?
Yes.
Are you requesting to be considered for a court-appointed attorney?
No.
No? Okay. Do you plan on representing yourself or hiring your own attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Which one? You plan to represent yourself? Okay. So I'm going to indicate on here that you are not requesting a court-appointed attorney and that you're going to represent yourself. I've scheduled your preliminary hearing date for May 25th, 2021. However, if you bond out, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new notice in the mail. Do you have any questions, Mr. Burgess?
No.
Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day.
Good morning. My name is Curtis DuBose, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. DuBose. I'm well, thank you for asking. Give me one moment. Okay, Mr. DuBose, you have 2 charges. One is battery family violence, and that bond amount is $5,000. You also have a criminal trespass charge. That bond amount is $2,000. So your total bond is $7,000. Do you understand your charges and your bond amount?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe you'll be able to make bond, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I do have special conditions listed for you. And that is to stay away and have no contact with Vieira Mitchell. Also, you are to not return to 9143 Amber Lee Lane in Riverdale, Georgia. Do you understand those conditions? Okay, is that a shared residence?
It was, I moved out 8 months ago.
Okay, so you don't need to return there to retrieve anything, right? Okay. Are you requesting to be considered for a court-appointed attorney?
I have an attorney.
You have an attorney?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to indicate on here that you're hiring your own attorney. Your preliminary hearing date is May 25th, but you said you'll be able to bond out, so that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new notice in the mail. Do you have any questions for me?
No, ma'am, you've been great.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Okay, looks like the next person I have is Justin Edge. Good morning, Mr. Edge. You have been charged with criminal trespass, damage to property. That bond is set at $3,000, and terroristic threats. That bond is set at $3,000 as well. So your total bond amount is $6,000. Do you understand your charges and your bond amount?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe you'll be able to make bond?
Yes, ma'am.
I have included on here some conditions to your bond, and that is to stay away and have no contact with David Edge. Do you understand that?
Excuse me?
You are to stay away and have no contact with David Edge.
Why is that? That's my father.
Yes, I do see here that it's listed as your father. It indicates that the damage that was done was you kicking in his door during an argument that you had with the mother of your child. And also I'm indicating on here that you are not to return to 1512 Cardinal Road in Jonesboro, Georgia, 30238.
Where does the threats come from?
It looks like, give me 1 second, I'll tell you. It looks like that was indicated on the warrant. I know it's been, let me see, this warrant was taken out last year, so I know it's been some time, but it indicates that that is where the incident location occurred. So it states that the offender did kick open a bedroom door belonging to his father, David Edge, during an argument with his mother, with the mother of his child, Lindsay Garrett. The offender's actions resulted in a hole in the bedroom door and damage to the door frame. The damage to the door was less than $500. This incident was witnessed by David Edge, Lindsay Garrett, and Jody Garrett. And it indicates that the incident location was 1512 Cardinal Road in Jonesboro, Georgia. Does that sound familiar to you, that address?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, that's my address, but them charges should have been dropped. My father has been going in to see about the charges being dropped, and this has been over a year ago.
So, yeah, I see it's been over a year ago. So I was wondering why this had been pending for so long. But essentially on my end, it's still showing that is pending. I don't see that any charges have been dropped. So
terroristic threats come in?
So with the terroristic threats, let me tell you where that stemmed from. It says the offender on that same date of 3/19/2020, the offender did get in the face of his father, David Edge, during a verbal argument and threatened to punch him. This threat was committed in the presence of two witnesses, Lindsay Garrett and Jody Garrett. And so that is the basis for the terroristic threats charge.
Okay. I have been incarcerated since then, and these charges never came up until now.
I'm not sure why you're just now being arrested on that. It could be because you were incarcerated, but this warrant was sworn out back in March 20th of 2020. So for now, Mr. Edge, I am just going to leave these conditions on here. I know you mentioned that your father is probably working something out for you. And if things have cooled off and, you know, there are no issues between you and your father, then that is something that can be worked out through the state, and this bond condition can be modified. But sitting here today, I just need to make sure that I am maintaining and ensuring that there's peace between you and Mr. Edge and the other individuals. So I am going to leave these conditions on here. Are you requesting to be considered for a court-appointed attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have a broke arm, so I actually couldn't write.
I see that on here. I'm going to have to get some information from you.
I usually have an attorney, actually, but I'm not sure if he's going to cover this case or not. I don't have the funds at the time.
So let me go ahead and ask you some questions then. So just in case you're not able to hire your own attorney, we can see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. Do you have a job?
I did until this happened.
Okay, so you're no longer employed. Do you have any money in cash available to you? Do you own or have any interest in any real estate?
Well,
Do you have a relative of anyone that can help you with hiring an attorney?
no, ma'am, not at this time.
Okay. Have you ever served in the U.S. military? Do you have a mailing address that I can indicate on here so that way the court can be in contact with you?
1512 Cardinal Road.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that address on here, but like I mentioned, since I have this condition on here for now, you may want to consider getting a different address where you can receive forwarded mail. So I am gonna go ahead and approve you for an attorney, sir. I'm appointing an attorney to represent you, and he or she will be in contact. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be scheduled for May 24th, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. If you do bond out, you will receive a new court notice in the mail, and that court date will be waived. And did you indicate that you'll be able to make the $6,000 bond?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
And both of these offenses are misdemeanor? No.
Yes, both of them have been charged as misdemeanor offenses. Yes, sir. So I'm sorry, it actually, your court date is actually going to be May 25th. I misspoke. So your court date for your preliminary hearing is going to be May 25th, 2021. But if you bond out, that hearing date will be waived. If you're still incarcerated, you'll be brought up for that court date. You have any other questions for me, sir? Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day. The next person I have is Aaron Ellison. Good morning. Are you Mr. Ellison? Okay. And you're gonna have to speak up for me, Mr. Ellison.
Got you.
Okay, so I have, looks like I have 3 offenses that you've been charged with. Driving on a suspended license, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and obstruction of your license plate or failure to display properly your license plate. Your total bond amount between those three charges is $3,500. Do you understand the charges and your bond amount? Do you believe you'll be able to make bond?
I might have to get in contact with some folks from the outside, but I think I'll be able to.
Okay. Are you requesting a court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Okay, I did review your application for a court-appointed attorney and you do qualify. So I am approving that request. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be scheduled for May 25th, 2021. If you do bond out like you believe you'll be able to, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new notice in the mail. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Ellison? Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day, sir. Hello, may I have your name? What was your name?
Kevin Green.
Kevin Green? Okay. All right, Mr. Green, you have been charged with one count of public drunkenness, one count of crossing the roadway elsewhere other than the crosswalk, and one count of obstructing law enforcement. Your total bond amount is $2,500. Do you understand the charges and your bond amount?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe you'll be able to make bond?
Yes, I'll just probably have to make some phone calls. Can you warrant to me?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Can you read the warrant to me?
Yes. It states that on April 2nd, 2021, at approximately 11:39, said offender did walk across Terra Boulevard just north of Smith Street in the southbound lanes, not using the crosswalk. The offender obstructed traffic by causing vehicles to brake and change lanes to avoid collision with him. Contact was made with the offender and he was requested to come to me multiple times, which he refused by not moving. As I walked over to him, he put his hands in his pockets and I told him twice to remove his hands from his pockets, which he did not do. I had to remove his hands from his pockets. While speaking with the offender, I smelled the distinct and strong odor of alcoholic beverages emitting from his person and his breath. The offender had a hard time standing on his own. He was belligerent. He raised his voice by yelling and used foul language while interacting with law enforcement. So those are the facts indicated on the warrantless arrest affidavit that led to the three offenses that I mentioned. Are you requesting to be considered for a court-appointed attorney? Okay, so I have reviewed your application and you do qualify. I am appointing an attorney to represent you, Mr. Green. These are all misdemeanor offenses, so your preliminary hearing date will be scheduled for May 25th. But if you do bond out, that date will be waived and you'll receive a new notice in the mail, sir. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day.
The boys.
Good afternoon, Mr. Heath. You said Du Bois Heath, correct? So, Mr. Heath, you've been charged with one count of aggravated battery and one count of aggravated assault by strangulation, as well as criminal damage in the second degree. I am denying bond on your first two felony charges, the aggravated battery and the aggravated assault. You do have a bond for the criminal damage property in the second degree, and that bond amount is $2,500. Do you understand the charges and what I've just indicated to you about your bonds?
Permission to speak.
I can't hear you.
Permission to speak, please.
Okay, well, I asked you a question first. My question was, did you understand the charges that I just mentioned, as well as what I mentioned about your bonds? Okay, what did you want to say, sir? And speak up because I can barely hear you.
I was at home. I left this woman's house and left her house and went home to my home in Morrow. This woman came from Riverdale to my house in Morrow and attacked me on her. I basically was in a fight for my life, defending myself. I showed the officers these bite marks all over my chest, these scratches all over my face.
She don't need to hear your case.
Yes, sir. And I work every day, Your Honor. All I do is go to work and go home, Your Honor. I just bought a house, the home that this incident happened in, and I'm scared I'm gonna lose everything if I'm not able to get out and handle my business on what I need to do.
Okay, well, Mr. Heath, I hear what you're saying. I hear absolutely what you're saying. What was indicated on this warrantless arrest affidavit is very serious, okay? And these are serious offenses and these are serious allegations. At this juncture, I am not inclined to give you a bond on those two felony offenses. But what I will do is schedule a bond hearing date for you. So you're gonna have an opportunity to make your case out about bond and the reason why you believe you should be granted a bond. But that date will not be today. So I'm scheduling a hearing date for May 28th, 2021. That's gonna be your bond hearing date. And you're gonna have a preliminary hearing date as well. That date is going to be May 24th, 2021. And you'll be able to present your case at that time to the court regarding whether or not there's enough probable cause to keep you detained. So I am filling out the paperwork to indicate those court dates for you. I want to let you know that if you are granted a bond on those felony charges, I do have in this order that you are to have no contact and stay away from Yolanda Kinchin. And I also have on here that you won't be able to return to 6065 Monica Drive, Morrow, Georgia. Now, like I meant, hang on, sir, because I already know what you're gonna say. Hang on. Like I mentioned, this is in the event that you are granted a bond at your bond hearing. So if you need to modify these conditions for whatever reason, like if you own the home or it's your house or your belongings are there, you will have an opportunity to make your case out on May 28th at that bond hearing. And at that time, the judge will determine what conditions, one, the judge will determine whether or not you'll get a bond. If so, how much? And the judge can modify any bond conditions for you, okay? So, so that won't be the time to argue today, but you're gonna have your day in court and you're gonna have an opportunity to do that. Are you asking for a court-appointed attorney, sir? Okay, I'm looking at your application and you do qualify for a court-appointed attorney based on your responses. So I am approving an attorney, excuse me, I am approving your request and I'm appointing an attorney to represent you. He or she will be in contact with you. And it may be a situation where they can work out a consent bond before then. It may not be that you'll wait till May 24th or May 28th. They may be able to work out something beforehand to get you a bond sooner, but that's something you'll need to talk to your attorney about.
How would I go about speaking with my attorney?
Well, usually they will reach out to you and come see you at the jail. You know, if you haven't heard from anybody in about a week or so, you can use the phone there at the jail and see if you can contact the Clayton County Public Defender's Office to find out which attorney has been assigned to you. But after today, I'm going to send this paperwork over. I'm going to email it right away to the Clayton County Public Defender's Office, and they're going to have all of your paperwork and your contact, and they're going to know exactly what we discussed here today. And someone will be in contact with you. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Heath? Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Good afternoon. I'm sorry, what was your name? Last name Petway?
No.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Petway, you have been charged with 1 count of criminal damage in the 2nd degree, criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree, and your bond is $2,500. Do you understand the charge and your bond amount? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I do have a special condition on here. I'm just gonna put on here that you are to have no contact and stay away from Shakina Clayton. Shakina Clayton, do you know who that is? Okay, so you are to have no contact with her at this time until such time that the bond condition is modified or until your case is resolved. Do you understand that?
Bond modified, what is that?
So right now on this bond order, I'm indicating that you are to have no contact with Ms. Clayton. But in the future, let's say your case gets resolved and your case, is closed, then this no contact goes away. But let's say while your case is open, because it indicated on here that that was your girlfriend. So let's say while this case is open, your attorney has a discussion with the state to lift this condition, meaning change this condition or modify it, then at that time you can have contact. So that's what I mean by if this bond condition is modified. But until someone changes it or modifies it, you cannot have any contact with Ms. Clayton.
Okay, well, my only objection to that is that we live together. That's my residence, and I literally have a pair of underwear that I came with, and everything else is there. And I called an officer to escort me, so would I have to call another officer to escort me back there to get my belongings before I come to the premises?
Hang on, give me just a second. I'm taking a look at the warrant again.
Yes, ma'am.
So the location where the incident happened, the 10719 Southwood Drive in Hampton, that's a shared residence where both of you all reside?
It's our house.
Okay.
I have no problem not going back. I just want my belongings. And if I can get an officer there with me to get that, then I'm fine. I don't have to go back. Your microphone muted.
Sorry, thank you. So no, after reviewing this, it wasn't clear that that was a shared residence. So I am gonna state on here that you can return back for that limited purpose.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
No problem, but I wanna make sure you understand that when you go back, you do have to be accompanied by a sheriff. It has to be within 10 days of your release, and you cannot take any undisputed property. So if y'all are fighting over, a piece of property, you're just gonna have to leave it and come back after, this condition has been modified.
I have documentation of all my property on my phone.
I understand that. I'm just telling you that if there's any property in dispute, You're not to go over there and start arguing about the property. You just need to leave it and you can collect it at a later time. Do you understand that?
I do. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I am indicating that on your bond order. Did you say you believe you can make the $2,500 bond? Are you requesting to be considered for a court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Okay. Let me take a look and see if you qualify.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Petway, you're not working?
No, ma'am.
How do you support yourself?
I was working, but I just recently stopped working. I was doing a 100 table job, so I just recently stopped. But I will be back working soon.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and approve you for a court-appointed attorney to represent you, sir. I'm scheduling your preliminary hearing date for May 25th, 2021 at 8:30. If you bond out, that court date will be waived and you'll get a new notice in the mail. You have any other questions for me?
I do not.
Okay, you may be excused, sir. I'm sorry, hang on, Mr. Petway, sorry. Your court date is actually going to be May 24th.
Yes, ma'am.
24th. But if you bond out, it'll be waived, okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Tell me your name when you get up there.
Levante Rogers.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Rogers. One moment.
Oh, man.
All right, Mr. Rogers, so you have been charged with 2 offenses. One offense of robbery. I am denying bond on that offense. I see here that you have a 13-year probation sentence that's currently active out of Cobb County. You also been charged with 1 count of obstructing an officer. Because that is a misdemeanor, that bond has been set at $2,500. Do you understand the charge and what I have mentioned with regards to bond?
The bad robbery, no, I don't understand it.
Okay, so do you want me to read out loud the allegations that were listed on the warrant?
Yes, ma'am, but can I say something about that? Because I was at my job and I had the phone already. I did not take no one phone. I had the phone already. I did not take no one phone. I had the phone.
Mr. Rogers, like I mentioned to everyone else, remember at the beginning this morning when I told you all, I know as much as you want to plead your case here today, today is not the time for that. It's not to plead your case about whether you're guilty or not guilty. I'm just here to talk to you about what you've been charged with, what your bond amount is, and to determine whether or not you need the assistance of a court-appointed attorney. You're going to have an opportunity to make those defenses on your behalf. That opportunity is not today, however. Now, you mentioned you did not understand the robbery charge. Did you want me to proceed with reading the allegations out loud that was on the warrant affidavit?
Yes.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. It states that on April 2nd, 2021, in Clayton County, Georgia, at 682 Highway 138, Riverdale, Georgia, at approximately 10:24 a.m., the defendant did commit the following violations of Georgia law. In that said offender did commit the offense of robbery by taking a black cell phone from the victim, DeAndrea Brown, black cell phone from inside her vehicle. The victim stated the offender took her phone The victim stated the offender took her phone in exchange for money. The victim stated she asked the offender multiple times for her phone and the offender refused without giving him money. The victim stated she observed the offender take her phone from the cell phone mounted device and broke the device that was holding her phone. The offender was outside of the incident location yelling, "Give me my money and I'll give you your phone back." The victim completed a witness statement form about the incident and stated to me she wanted to pursue charges against the offender for taking her phone. The offender did not comply with my lawful order of placing his hands behind his back after he was told that he was under arrest. So those are the allegations that were indicated on the warrant. And because it is a felony charge and given your criminal history, I'm denying bond at this time. But I am going to schedule a bond hearing date for you. And that bond hearing date is going to take place on May 28th, 2021. You're also going to get a preliminary hearing date, and that date will be May 24th, 2021. Do you want to be considered for a court-appointed attorney, or do you plan to hire your own attorney, sir?
The court.
The court-appointed? Okay, let me take a look and see if you qualify. Okay, you do qualify based on my review of your application. So I am appointing an attorney to represent you. And like I was telling the other gentleman, you can discuss with your attorney those statements that you mentioned to me. And you can discuss your defenses with your attorney. And it could be that your attorney could work out something with regards to bond prior to then. I don't know, because like I mentioned, it has on here that you are currently on a 13-year probation, and that started November 13th of 2017 out of Cobb County. But nonetheless, you'll be able to talk to your attorney to discuss your options, and that attorney will be in contact with you. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Rogers? Okay, you may be excused, sir.
Andrew Powell.
Good afternoon, Mr. Powell. Give me one moment. Okay, so Mr. Powell, you have been charged with several offenses. 4 of them are violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, and I've set the bond at $5,000 each of those 4 offenses. Also, you have a charge of use or possession of a drug-related object. That bond amount is $500. There's also driving on a suspended license. That bond is $1,500. You have an improper lane change. That bond is $500. And then you have obstruction of an officer. That bond amount is $2,500. So your total bond between all of your charges is $25,000. Do you understand the charges and your bond amount? Do you believe you'll be able to make bond, sir? Are you requesting a court-appointed attorney? Are you working?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so I am appointing an attorney to represent you, Mr. Powell. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be scheduled for May 24th, 2021. So if you are still incarcerated at that time, you'll just be brought up before the court to determine whether or not there's sufficient probable cause to keep you detained on these charges. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, you may be excused. Thank you.
Carlton Shannon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Shannon. Give me one moment here. All right, Mr. Shannon, you have been charged with one count of battery. That bond amount is $6,000. And because of your criminal history, that battery is being charged and upgraded as a felony. So you will see that order and paperwork on your file. With regards to your second charge, you were charged with criminal trespass. That bond amount is $2,000. And so your total bond here today is $8,000. Do you understand the charges and the bond amount?
No, I don't understand the criminal trespass.
Okay, so the criminal trespass, family violence, it states that on April 2nd, 2021 at 2100 hours, the offender, Carlton Shannon, did refuse entry to the home of the victim, Freddie Shannon, by blocking the front door to the house with his body. That's why they're charging you with the criminal trespass. And then it says both the offender and the victim have lived together at the address for over 2 years and are brothers. Once the victim was able to finally push his way into the front door, the offender then did strike the victim in the face with his right fist multiple times, causing obvious and visible bruising to the left side of the victim's face. These crimes were committed in Clayton County, Georgia. So that's why you were charged with the criminal trespass based on those allegations. You do have special conditions to your bond. You are to stay away and have no contact with your brother at this time, Freddie Shannon. And you are not to return to that location where the incident occurred. That's 1599 Ogalla Drive in Jonesboro, Georgia. Do you understand those conditions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now because it's indicated that it's a shared residence, I am stating on here that you are allowed to go back to retrieve any of your personal belongings from that residence, but you have to be accompanied by a sheriff, and it has to be done within 10 days of being released from jail. Do you understand that, Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Okay, are you requesting a court-appointed attorney, sir?
Yes.
Okay, you've indicated that you're unemployed. Is that accurate? All right, so I'm approving your request for a court-appointed attorney, and I am appointing someone to represent you. Your preliminary hearing date will be scheduled for May 24th, 2021. But if you bond out, that hearing date will be waived and you'll receive a new notice in the mail. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Shannon?
You said my bond was total of $8,000?
Yes, sir, $8,000.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you may be excused, sir. Have a good day.
Hi, my name is Justin Worsham.
What was the last name?
Worsham.
Worsham. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so Mr. Worsham, did you complete a court-appointed application?
They just told me.
Okay, one second, let me look. Okay, I have your court-appointed application here. Give me one moment.
I can say that, and you're not getting, you can just give me a court-appointed lawyer, and yes, I will be able to make bond, ain't $3,700.
Do you already know your bond amount and what you've been charged with?
Yeah, it's $3,700 and public drunk and public indecency, but I'm kind of.
Okay, all right, so yeah, you have, that is what you've been charged with. For some reason though, I cannot locate the warrant. But when I put hands on it, I'm gonna go ahead and sign this bond order. Your bond listed on the bond order is total $3,000, but if they told you $3,700, it's probably some of the fees that they're required to add on. So, but your bond is actually $3,000. And you say you'll be able to make bond, sir? Okay. And I do see that you have completed your application for a court-appointed attorney, and you do qualify. So I am appointing an attorney to represent you. Your court date will be May 25th, 2021. But if you bond out like you believe you'll be able to, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new notice in the mail. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
No.
Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day.
Your Honor, you want the Spanish speaking one or you want the Vietnamese one first?
Let's do. Oh, you all did say Raleigh was OT. Is Raleigh OTB? Actually, I don't have that indicated. Nairobi, Raleigh.
Judge, he's here, but he refused to talk to anyone. Mr. Riley. So he said he didn't want to talk to you or me. And so I guess he wanted to reschedule, I guess.
Okay, well, still bring him up. I mean, if he doesn't want to talk, he can just look at the screen, but I do need to go ahead and handle his matter, please.
Espanol? Yeah. I speak English a little bit. You speak English a little bit? Yeah, I can. You can understand her? Your Honor, the Spanish speaking one said he can understand you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Well, I'll have Mr. Martinez or Mr. Riley, whoever's ready.
Martinez.
Martinez, okay. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Martinez. You have been charged with 3 driving offenses. One is license not on person. That bond amount is $500. The other one is improper lane change. That bond amount is $500. And driving on a suspended license, that bond amount is $1,500. So your total bond amount is $2,500. Understand?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think you'll be able to make bond? Okay. Do you want to be considered for an attorney? Okay, are you gonna hire your own attorney?
Yeah, I don't need it.
I'm sorry, the internet skipped a little bit. What did you say?
I don't need it. I'm good.
You don't need it? Okay. Are you gonna represent yourself?
Yeah, or maybe I'm finding somebody in the street. Or maybe I'm going to a lawyer.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna indicate on here that you're gonna hire your own attorney. Your court date is going to be scheduled for May 25th. But if you bond out, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court notice in the mail. Okay?
Everything is 2,500.
What's that?
Everything is 2,500.
Yes, 2,500.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day.
I think she want, yeah, she want what his name before.
Is Mr. Riley
He's
here? What was that?
he's on his way. They bringing him.
Okay.
Yeah, he gonna be last. She gonna do Riley before she do the Vietnamese. They bringing them you on here in a different housing unit, so they bringing them down.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said they bringing them down here in a different housing unit.
Okay.
But they bringing them down.
Okay, thank you. Deputy, while we're waiting on Mr. Riley, there was one other case that that I was told was supposed to be on my calendar today, Mr. Watson, Michael Watson.
Let me see what that paperwork is. So I can look at it. Hold on, wait a minute.
Okay, I do have the paperwork though.
Sir, you okay? You lost her? You good? Yeah.
I don't have paperwork to give it. It's wax. Yeah, wow. What? W-A-T-T-S. Your Honor, that Watson, is it W-A-T-T-S or?
It is WATSON. I'm gonna type the full name that I have in the chat so you can see how it's spelled. And they indicated that he was in medical. And he was supposed to be on first appearance back on March 17th, but I believe he's been in medical this entire time. But it was included in the email of paperwork this morning.
Michael Sean Watson.
Are you Mr. Riley? Deputies, is this Nairobi Riley? Okay, was he present during my announcements?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So Mr. Riley, this is your first appearance hearing this morning before the Clayton County Magistrate Court. This is not a time for you to try your case or take a plea. I'm just here to tell you the charge that you have been arrested on, to talk to you about your bond amount, and to see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. Keep in mind, anything you say can be used against you. So you do have the right to remain silent here today and say nothing. But should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you if this case goes to trial. You do have the right to the presumption of innocence until the state proves your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to indictment by a grand jury or by accusation for misdemeanors. You have the right to a speedy and public trial. You have the right to see, hear, and cross-examine witnesses who are called to testify against you. You have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses on your behalf by subpoena. You have the right to testify and offer any evidence in your own defense, should you choose to do so. However, if you choose not to do so, there's no presumption of your guilt that can be raised. You also have the right to have an attorney represent you, and I'll determine whether or not you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. You have been charged with public indecency, and your bond is set at $2,000. Do you understand your charge and your bond amount? Mr. Riley, do you understand your charge and your bond amount? Yes or no? Well, Mr. Riley, I will go ahead and let you know that you have 3 options for posting a bond. You can utilize a cash bond, and if you use a cash bond, you'll pay the full amount of your bond in cash to the sheriff's office, plus any applicable mandated fees. And the sheriffs will hold on to that cash bond until after the final disposition of your case, at which time it'll be returned to you. You can also post your $2,000 bond by going through a commercial bonding company. The commercial bonding company usually charges anywhere up to 15% of your bond amount. So if you do use the commercial bonding company, keep in mind what you pay them are the fees that they charge for their services, and that fee won't be returned to you. Or you can use a property bond. If you use a property bond, you'll have to find someone who has at least $6,000 in equity in their property in order for you to post this $2,000 bond using a property bond. I am going to schedule your preliminary hearing date for May 25th, 2021. And at that time, if you're still incarcerated, there will be a probable cause hearing or a preliminary hearing. And the purpose of the preliminary hearing is for the court to determine whether or not there's enough probable cause to keep you detained on this public indecency charge. Deputy, do you know if he completed a court-appointed attorney form?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Riley, I'm gonna appoint an attorney to represent you just based on what I have here in front of me. So your court-appointed attorney will be in contact with you, and you can discuss these charges in your case with your court-appointed attorney. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Riley? I'm sorry, the screen froze. Did you have any questions, Mr. Riley? Okay. All right, so he can be excused. Okay, so I am, do we have an ETA on Mr. Watson? Or do we know what's going on with him? So Deputy, is Mr. Bowie available? If so, I'll just go ahead and call the interpreter and get her on the line.
Yes, ma'am, I got him right here with me.
Okay, so give me a moment to get the interpreter on the line.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, please remain on the line with me for your L5 interpreter. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
ID 219991 for Vietnamese. Is your customer with you or do you want me to contact for you?
They are with me. I am All right, I'm not sure what happened there. Are you all ready to go?
Yes, ma'am. We go, Mr. Watson.
Okay. Well, let me see. Yeah, if Mr. Watson can come on up. Wait, did Mr. Watson hear the announcement earlier?
No, he didn't.
He didn't? Okay. I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and do Mr. What's his name? Mr. Boeing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do the announcement for both of them, but since I have the interpreter on the line, I'll take Mr. Bui first.
Okay.
You can't stand up, you can sit down.
Sit down. Hey.
Sit down, man. I don't want to fall over.
Sit right here. There you go. I just watch that screen, right?
Sit down. Oh, she probably muted herself.
Okay.
Sorry about that. No, I didn't mean to mute myself. Can you all hear the interpreter? Madam Interpreter, can you say hello?
Hello.
Okay. All right. So I think they can hear you just fine. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Watson and Mr. Bui.
Xin chào buổi chiều, ông Khoa và ông Bùi.
I am Judge Farrey, and I will be presiding over your first appearance hearing today.
Tôi là thẩm phán và tôi sẽ làm cái cuộc điều trần đầu tiên hôm nay.
We are not here to try your case or take a plea. We are here so that I can inform you of the charges for which you have been arrested.
Chúng ta không có ở đây để mà giải quyết cái hồ sơ hôm nay. Hôm nay tôi chỉ cung cấp những cái thông tin về cái vấn đề họ buộc tội và bắt giữ quý vị.
I will advise you of certain rights that you have. I will set bond on those offenses that that I'm authorized to set bond on, and I will give you your preliminary hearing date.
Tôi sẽ đưa ra lời khuyên về những cái quyền lợi của quý vị và sẽ thiết lập cái số tiền bảo lãnh. Sau đó tôi sẽ cho quý vị biết về cái ngày ra tòa tiếp theo.
You have the right to remain silent and say nothing, but should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you if this case goes to trial.
Quý vị có quyền giữ im lặng, không có phải nói gì. Nhưng nếu bất kỳ cái gì quý vị nói ra, họ có thể dùng đó để chống lại quý vị.
During this proceeding and all other proceedings, you have the right to the presumption of innocence until the state proves your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Trong suốt cái quá trình này và trong suốt cuộc điều trần, quý vị có quyền nói rằng là mình không có tội cho đến khi nào mà tiểu bang chứng minh rằng quý vị có tội.
You have the right to an indictment by the grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors.
Quý vị có quyền yêu cầu hội thẩm đoàn đưa ra cái ngày ra tòa cho cái tội về hình sự cũng như là yêu cầu ngày ra tòa cho tội dân sự.
You have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
Quý vị có quyền yêu cầu một cái tòa xét xử công trọng bởi bồi thẩm đoàn.
You have the right to see, hear, and cross-examine witnesses.
Quý vị có quyền xem ở đây và đem đến những cái nhân chứng.
You have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses on your own behalf.
Quý vị có quyền thẩm vấn nhân chứng của bị cáo đại diện cho quý vị.
You have the right to testify and offer any other evidence on your own defense, should you choose to do so.
Quý vị có quyền cung cấp lời khai và cung cấp những cái bằng chứng khác cho quý vị.
You have the right to an attorney, and I will determine whether or not you qualify for a court-appointed attorney.
Quý vị có quyền có một luật sư và tôi sẽ đưa ra cái quyết định là quý vị có đủ tiêu chuẩn để được cung cấp một luật sư hay không.
You will be able to post an unrestricted bond in order to be released from jail pending prosecution of your case.
Quý vị có quyền tham vấn về cái tiền bảo lãnh được hạn chế và sẽ được thả ra khỏi tù.
You will have 3 options to post bond. Your first option is a cash bond, where you will pay cash to the sheriff's department plus any fees, and the sheriffs will hold it until the end of your case.
Quý vị có 3 sự lựa chọn để mà nạp tiền bảo lãnh. Lựa chọn thứ nhất là tiền bảo lãnh bằng tiền mặt. Quý vị có thể nạp tiền bảo lãnh bằng tiền mặt đến văn phòng của sở cảnh sát kèm với lại những cái phí, và sở cảnh sát sẽ giữ nó cho đến khi nào mà hồ sơ của quý vị hoàn thành.
Your second option is to post a commercial bond using a commercial bonding company that is approved by the sheriff's office.
Lựa chọn thứ hai là quý vị có thể nạp cái tiền bảo lãnh thương mại. Tiền bảo lãnh thương mại có nghĩa là sử dụng một cái công ty thương mại mà để bảo lãnh cho quý vị, nhưng cái công ty đó phải được chấp nhận bởi văn phòng của cảnh sát.
Bond companies usually charge up to 15% of the total amount of your bond to use their services.
Và công ty về tiền bảo lãnh thường sẽ tính là 15% trên tổng cái số tiền bảo lãnh nếu như quý vị sử dụng cái dịch vụ của họ.
Once you pay this fee to the bonding company for your release from jail, you do not get this money back.
Khi mà quý vị đóng phí cho cái công ty về giúp đỡ tiền bảo lãnh này thì họ sẽ thả quý vị ra khỏi tù, nhưng mà cái số tiền mà quý vị đóng họ sẽ không có trả lại cho quý vị.
Your third option is you can post bond using a property, and the property that you use will need to have equity of at least 3 times the total of your bond.
Lựa chọn thứ ba, quý vị có thể sử dụng cái tài sản của quý vị để làm cái tiền bảo lãnh. Nhưng cái giá trị tài sản của quý vị nó phải nhiều hơn gấp 3 lần cái số tiền bảo lãnh của quý vị.
Okay, so Mr. Bui, if you can raise your right hand, please.
Ông Bùi làm ơn giơ tay phải lên.
Do you swear and affirm the statements that you give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Ông có thề rằng những lời khai của ông hôm nay là sự thật và chỉ là sự thật, không ngoài gì khác là sự thật.
Okay, he's nodding his head. Yes. Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you.
Ông có thể bỏ tay xuống. Cảm ơn.
Okay, you have been charged with 4 charges. The first one is possession of crack cocaine, and that bond amount is $4,000.
Và ông bị buộc tội cho 4 loại buộc tội. Buộc tội đầu tiên là có tàng trữ ma túy, tiền bảo lãnh là 4.000 đô.
You've also been charged with use or possession of a drug-related object. That bond amount is $500.
Đồng thời, ông cũng bị buộc tội cho việc sử dụng hoặc là tàng trữ những cái thuốc mà có liên quan đến như là ở phía trên, và tiền bảo lãnh là 500 đô.
You've been charged with obstruction of a police officer, and that bond amount is $2,500.
Và ông bị buộc tội cho vấn đề là chống đối lại nhân viên cảnh sát, tiền bảo lãnh là 2.500 đô.
And you've been charged with driving on a suspended license. That bond amount is $1,500.
Và ông bị buộc tội cho vấn đề mà lái xe nhưng mà giấy phép hết hạn, tiền bảo lãnh là 1.500 đô.
So your total bond for all of the charges is $8,500.
John, can you repeat the total amount one more time? Thank you.
Yes, the total amount is $8,500 for all of your charges.
Tổng cộng số tiền bảo lãnh của ông là 8.500 đô cho tất cả những cái buộc tội phía trên.
Do you understand what you've been charged with?
Ông hiểu những cái mà ông bị buộc tội chứ?
Có những cái họ nói láo với tôi. Họ nói tôi là chống đối với cảnh sát, tôi đâu có làm chứ. Họ đánh tôi như vậy mà nó là làm sao cách nào tôi chống đối? Trong khi tôi có 120 phao, họ tới 200-300 phao.
There are some things they lied to me. They judged me for the obstruction of the police officer. I did not do any obstruction to the police officer. And he said more things, but I could not understand him, Your Honor.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, Mr. Bui, but today is not your trial. You will have another court date where you can raise those defenses.
Tôi hiểu ý ông nói, ông Bùi. Tuy nhiên ngày hôm nay không phải là cái ngày ra tòa của ông. Ông sẽ có một ngày ra tòa khác và ông có thể bảo vệ về những cái lý do của ông.
But my question earlier is, do you understand what you have been charged with? Not whether you agree, but whether you understand the 4 charges that I mentioned to you.
Câu hỏi của tôi là ông có hiểu về những cái buộc tội của họ cho ông không? Câu hỏi của tôi không phải là ông đồng ý bị buộc tội, mà là ông có hiểu về những cái sự buộc tội đó không?
Có nghĩa là hôm nay thì định luận như vậy thì đến ngày ra tòa khác thì mình mới là nói về cái của mình không hài lòng, đúng không?
It means the next court date I can defend myself, right, Your Honor?
Yes, so I am scheduling your preliminary hearing date for May 24th, 2021.
Đúng vậy. Tôi thiết lập cái ngày ra tòa của ông, cái ngày ra tòa sơ bộ tiếp theo sẽ là ngày 24 tây tháng 5, 2021.
Okay.
And tell him to hold on until I ask him any questions.
Đợi chút xíu để tôi hỏi ông câu hỏi trước.
Okay. And so I want to know whether or not he is able to make bond of the $8,500.
Tôi muốn biết ông có thể trả cái số tiền bảo lãnh 8.500 đô hay không?
Chị có thể nói bớt xuống chút xíu nữa, tại vì trong cái account bây giờ tôi có thể bảo lãnh cho bản thân tôi được không vậy? Bớt xuống số tiền.
John, so can I ask you to reduce the bond for me because there is not enough money in my account?
No, I cannot reduce the bond based on your criminal history.
Không, tôi không thể nào mà giảm cái số tiền bảo lãnh xuống được dựa vào cái lịch sử vi phạm về tội hình sự của ông.
However, you can use a commercial bonding company to make your bond.
Tôi muốn tự bảo lãnh tôi được không?
Ông có thể sử dụng công ty thương mại về sự bảo lãnh để họ có thể bảo lãnh cho ông.
And the commercial bonding company will be able to make arrangements with you so that way you can afford to make your bond.
Và cái công ty thương mại về tiền bảo lãnh này, họ sẽ sắp xếp về cái số tiền với ông để ông có thể đủ khả năng trả tiền.
Are you currently employed?
Hiện tại ông có đi làm không?
Không có đi làm, ở nhà giữ babysitter.
I don't work. I stay home to be a babysitter.
Okay, would you like to be considered for a court-appointed attorney to represent you in this case?
Vậy ông có muốn tòa chỉ định một luật sư để bảo vệ ông trên cái hồ sơ này không?
Vậy là sao nói lại không hiểu gì?
Can you explain it?
Because you are not working and you don't have any income to pay for an attorney, the court, I will appoint an attorney to represent you free of charge.
Bởi vì ông không có đi làm, ông không có thu nhập, do đó ông không có tiền thuê luật sư. Vì thế tòa sẽ chỉ định một luật sư cho ông, không có tính phí.
Nhưng mà tôi chỉ muốn tự tôi bảo lãnh tôi đi ra bây giờ được không? Tôi đau lắm, trong này thì rất là lạnh.
But can I release myself from the jail today?
Yes, if you can post bond, then you will be able to be released today.
Nếu như ông đóng tiền bảo lãnh thì ông sẽ được thả ra hôm nay.
Nhưng mà cái thẻ nhà băng tôi để trong cảnh sát giữ rồi.
But my bank account, the police officer holding it now.
Okay, well, you will have to talk to the deputies at the jail so they can assist you with making a phone call or getting your bank card so that way you can post bond.
Vậy thì ông phải nói chuyện với lại viên chức của cảnh sát ở trong tù để ông có thể gọi điện thoại và ông có thể lấy tiền ra khỏi ngân hàng để đóng tiền bảo lãnh.
Không có cách nào mà làm được hết đó, tại vì cái thẻ nhà băng cái debit card là ở trong cái người của tôi ở đây rồi, người ta giữ rồi. Tôi có thể trả bằng cái thẻ đó được không vậy?
No way. There is no way to do it because they are holding my credit card.
Mr. Bui, I just told you, you will have to talk to the deputies at the jail so that way you can get access to your money so you can make bond, okay?
Ông Bùi, tôi vừa mới nói với ông xong. Ông phải nói chuyện với lại nhân viên chức cảnh sát ở trong tù để ông có thể truy cập số tiền của ông trong ngân
And perhaps you can call a family member to assist you as well. You can use the phone at the jail.
Và ông cũng có thể gọi điện thoại cho thành viên trong gia đình của ông để được giúp đỡ. Ông có thể sử dụng điện thoại trong tù.
Không người nào giúp đỡ được đâu không, chỉ có bản thân tôi thôi.
No one can help me with, only myself.
Do you want a court-appointed attorney to represent you? I asked you about that earlier and you ignored my question. Do you want me to appoint an attorney to represent you so the attorney can help you?
Ông có muốn tòa chỉ định cho ông một luật sư để họ có thể giúp ông không? Tôi hỏi ông câu hỏi này hồi nãy nhưng ông đã không có trả lời và bỏ qua câu hỏi. Ông có muốn tòa chỉ định một luật sư để biện hộ cho ông không?
Làm liền bây giờ đi, tôi không biết.
I could not hear him, Your Honor. I have to ask him again.
Okay, can you go ahead and ask him again?
Xin vui lòng. Yes, Your Honor. Xin vui lòng lặp lại, không nghe được.
Tôi muốn là luật sư tới liền để cho tôi làm liền bây giờ á. Hay là tôi phải chờ đợi nữa?
Can you ask them to come here right now or I have to wait for them longer?
I will go ahead and appoint an attorney to represent you, and they will be in contact with you. It usually takes a couple of days.
Tôi sẽ chỉ định một luật sư cho ông để đại diện cho ông và họ sẽ liên lạc với ông. Thường thì mất khoảng vài ngày họ sẽ liên lạc với ông.
Do you have a home mailing address that I can write on this form so that way your attorney knows how to contact you?
Ông có cái địa chỉ nhận thư ở nhà viết xuống trong cái đơn để tôi có thể nói luật sư liên lạc với ông được không?
Bây giờ đó hả? 1905
1905
1095.
I'm sorry, I could not hear him, Your Honor.
Okay, you can ask him to repeat it.
Lặp lại địa chỉ, không nghe được.
1095
1095.
Okay, so 1095. What's the street name?
1095. Tên đường là gì?
Drive.
Is it Grace Drive? Grace?
Yeah.
Race Drive có phải là chữ G-R-E-C-E đúng không?
Đúng rồi.
Okay, is that in Jonesboro or
Yes.
Forest? I'm sorry. Is that in Jonesboro or Forest Park? Do you have a phone number?
Ông có số điện thoại không?
Số điện thoại không biết đâu, nó tìm chắc trong xe hay sao, không có trong người, không có điện thoại.
I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand him, Your Honor.
Okay, can you ask him again whether he has a phone number? Phone number.
iPhone.
Câu hỏi của tôi là số điện thoại của ông là số mấy?
467-2678.
Can you ask him to repeat that for me?
A4A467267 at my cell phone.
Did you understand him,
You want me
Madam
to repeat
Interpreter?
for you, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes. 8, I will start over. 848 467 2678. That's my cell number.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to put it on the paperwork so that way the attorney knows how to contact you.
Cảm ơn, tôi sẽ để trên giấy tờ để luật sư biết liên lạc với ông.
No, cái số đó là cái cell phone làm sao mà trong này làm sao liên lạc được? Nhưng bây giờ tôi muốn đi ra liền á, hay là có biết là bao lâu tôi sẽ ở trong này không? Chưa chỉ hỏi gì thôi. Nếu ở trong này á thì
That's my cell phone. But that's my cell phone number, and I don't have it now. How can they contact me? May I know how long do I have to stay here?
Well, if you're able to bond out with the $8,500 bond, you can leave as soon as you're able to bond out. Otherwise, I have a court date scheduled for May 24th, 2021 for your preliminary hearing. So if you're still in jail at that time, they will bring you to court so that way your case can be heard.
Nếu như ông có thể đóng tiền bảo lãnh $8.500 thì họ sẽ thả ông ra. Và cái ngày ra tòa tiếp theo của ông là 24 tây tháng 5 2021 cho cái cuộc điều trần sơ bộ. Còn nếu như mà ông không đóng tiền bảo lãnh thì ông vẫn ở trong tù, họ sẽ đem ông đến ngày ra tòa cho cái hồ sơ này ngày tiếp theo.
Okay, so unless you have any other questions, sir, there is nothing further and you may be excused.
Trừ khi mà ông không còn câu hỏi nào khác và không có còn gì khác cho ông nữa và ông đã xong.
Bây giờ có cái cảnh sát ở đây nè, tôi phải nhờ người này lấy cái debit card của tôi ra được để lấy tiền được không vậy? Có nhân viên ở đây nè.
So can I ask the deputy officer to help me to get out the money from my bank?
Hey, tell him I'll help him out.
Yes, the deputies will assist you with making sure you can have access to your money so that way you can bond out.
Được.
Cảm ơn.
Cảnh sát giúp đỡ ông để ông truy cập vào tiền của ông để ông có thể đóng tiền bảo lãnh.
Dạ, tại vì cái hỏi là cái thẻ ATM á là có thể tự trả được không?
Can I use the ATM card to bond me out?
That is something you will have to talk to the bonding companies about. The deputies will also make sure you can use a phone so you can call the different bonding companies to help bond you out. Or if you have $8,500 cash, then you can talk to the sheriffs there about how to pay to get out.
My ATM ha.
Cái này ông phải nói với lại viên chức cảnh sát ở đó để ông có thể nói chuyện với lại công ty về bảo lãnh. Họ cho phép ông gọi điện thoại, ông có thể gọi điện thoại đến những công ty bảo lãnh để họ có thể giúp ông. Hoặc nếu như ông có $8.500 tiền mặt thì ông nói chuyện với lại nhân viên cảnh sát hỏi họ làm cách nào để có thể lấy cái tiền đó đóng tiền bảo lãnh.
Yeah.
Okay, so Deputy, if you can make sure Mr. Boyd can access, I know there's a communication barrier, so if we can make sure that he's able to somehow get his debit card or money so he can bond out or use a phone to talk to or call around to some bonding companies if he's not able to do a cash bond, I would greatly appreciate that. That's what he understands he'll be doing, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'll use my phone, use Google Translate, and I'll talk to him that way.
Oh, okay, excellent. Perfect, thank you. Okay, Mr. Bui, so we're done. They're gonna assist you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you chú hơi thôi.
Rồi, họ sẽ giúp đỡ ông. Chúc một ngày tốt lành, ông Bùi chào ông.
Okay, Madam Interpreter, do you swear and affirm that you have translated from English to Vietnamese, Vietnamese to English to the best of your ability?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you so much for your services, ma'am. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome, and thank you for using our service. Have a good day, Your Honor.
You too, ma'am. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Mr. Watson.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Watson. I know that was a long announcement there, but did you hear some of the preliminary announcements that I was mentioning to the last gentleman?
A little bit.
Okay, can you go ahead and raise your right hand for me? Do you swear and affirm that the statements you'll give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. So this is your first appearance. This is not a time for us to try your case, for you to take a plea. The purpose for you appearing before me today is so that I can tell you what you're charged with. I can tell you your bond amount, and I will also determine whether or not you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. I understand that you were supposed to come before the court back on March 17th, but you were in medical, or you had some medical conditions that prevented you from doing so. So I am hearing your matter today, and I am letting you know that you have been charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. And your bond amount is set at $2,500. Do you understand what you've been charged with and your bond amount?
Criminal trespassing, no, I don't. What?
Okay, I'm gonna read to you what is stated on the warrantless affidavit. It states that on March 16, 2021, at 1102 Shoreham Drive in College Park, Georgia, and at approximately 1754 in the evening, you did commit the following violations of Georgia law. In that said offender did with intent remain on the property of the victim, Leonard Dillard, after being issued a criminal trespass warning. The offender was told to leave the property by myself and was given a criminal trespass warning not to return to the property. After being given several directives to leave the property, the offender refused to leave. This incident did occur in Clayton County, Georgia. So that is why you were charged with the offense of criminal trespass. Do you believe you'll be able to make the $2,500 bond?
No, ma'am. Criminal, I was led to believe that somebody was in there in the house that I knew. That's why I paid. So I didn't mean that at all.
Okay. Well, like I mentioned earlier, this is not a time to try your case, or plead guilty or not guilty. There's going to be a day and time for that. I'm going to schedule a preliminary hearing date for you. That preliminary hearing date is going to be May 25th, 2021. And a preliminary hearing is a probable cause hearing. Essentially, if you do not bond out, then you will be brought up on that date, and you can have a hearing to determine whether or not there's enough probable cause to keep you detained in the jail on this criminal trespass offense. I am including special conditions to this bond, and that special condition is to stay away from that property. The property I mentioned to you at 1102 Shoreham Drive in College Park, Georgia. And to have no contact with Mr. Leonard Dillard until such time your bond has been modified or your case has been resolved. Do you understand those restrictions? Okay. I I can consider you for a court-appointed attorney if that's what you are requesting. Did you want to be considered for a court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Are you employed, Mr. Watson?
No, not at the time. Not this time.
Do you have any other source of income or cash or any access to money?
No, I wanted to file unemployment or something, you know, for a while to.
Okay. Are you retired military?
No, ma'am.
Do you have an address that I can include on this information? If you're able to bond out, we need an address so that way your court-appointed attorneys know how to contact you.
Well, at the time I'm homeless, and I wanted to know could it come here and they give it to me in my cell? The letter.
So what they'll do is if you're still incarcerated, before your preliminary hearing date, your court-appointed attorney will come to the jail to see you. So I guess at that time, if you have a valid address, you can certainly talk to them about it and provide an address. Just make sure that if you are ultimately able to bond out, that you update the court with the address where you can be contacted. Okay. Do you have any other questions for me, Mr. Watson?
No, I'm trying to think. Well, not this time, but I'm always welcome to ask the guards anything if I call them something, right?
What was your question, sir?
I'm always welcome to ask for information for if I don't get it from you or around here, right? Just in case if I forget something or whatever.
Well, I've also appointed an attorney to represent you too. So it's going to be Clayton County Public Defender's Office. So if you ever need to use the phone to call to find out who your lawyers are, you can use a phone to call them and find out who your lawyer is. So that way you can ask any questions you need to ask. But if it's about bonding out and contacting bonding companies, yes, you can talk to the deputies there at the jail to find out which bonding companies you can use and call to answer your questions about your bond. Okay, did you have any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. You're free to go. Have a good day. Okay, deputies, are we all set here?
Yes, ma'am, that is it, I believe so.
All right, well, thank you all for your assistance today. Take care.
Good day again.
You too.